Hi everybody. So what I'm going to be doing is we're going to be going over how to make a landscape of watercolor and using background, middle ground, and foreground. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start off toward the top of the paper and you're going to make kind of a line, and I can make it kind of curved. And then a little bit farther than halfway down, I'm going to make another one, and they don't have to be the same. What we're going to be doing is we're taking the same idea from the abstract city and from the perspective boxes, and then we're going to take it, making a landscape, looking at objects that are in the foreground, middle ground, and background. And so the easiest way I like to do this is I start with the background. And if you guys remember when I was showing you how to make houses, if you start off just like just a basic generic house, and then you're going to make it so that they're 3D. So I'm going to show the sides of the house. I'm going to incorporate all my doors, my windows, all the basics of the house. I also am going to include things like if the house is made of siding or bricks or whatever it is that I want to attach on the house. And they'll go through this way, and then whatever you want the roof to be. So it could be kind of like shingles up here, almost looks like bricks. And then what you're going to do is as it's coming closer to you, they're going to get bigger. So the size of this one is about this big if I measure it with my hands. If I double that and I go in front of it, my next one is going to be bigger. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to change up a little bit about how they look. So like I could add like an extra, like an extra extension here, so it looks like there's another part of the house that's sticking out. So I could have it like this, just so that it's a little bit different than the others. And then I do the same thing again with doors. You can do multiple windows, you can do different shape windows, you can do completely whatever you'd like. Then we have a background, we have middle ground. The next part is going to be foreground. So if I took and I measured this one in the middle ground, foreground is going to be about 1.5 times bigger than that. So I could make another house about this big. And I can add another line here to the bottom if I'd like. But the idea is you're going to be showing depth using size of your project. So kind of like if things are going in the background, they obviously get smaller. Okay? Now, requirements are you need to have at least 10 buildings, and then you also need to have trees. And so one of the things I always like to show is my Inga cheater trick of making pine trees. And so if you look, I could make a tree, so like an upside down triangle, and then I make zigzags on the bottom. And then I'm just going to keep making those. And then I can add in a little stem or a trunk of the tree. Now keep in mind too that the trees need to be size appropriate with the buildings. So like up here, obviously they're going to be bigger. And then you'll be able to just keep and attach them in there. Now, as you're doing it, you're going to have some things overlapping each other. So maybe I'll have like this one could be a rounded building, almost like a barn. And so once you have all the buildings in and all the trees, then you have to start adding in your extra items. Extra items can be anything from people. So if I was doing like a winter scene, I could have like an ice skating pond. And then if you guys remember, so obviously no naked stick figures, but you can put clothing on these people. And now all of a sudden I have an ice skater. You can put a little hat on them. Okay, and then obviously give them hands. Sometimes they're going to be too small that you're not going to be able to add in any like facial features or anything like that, which is okay. Other things that could be extras, you can have balconies, you can have stairs. Like I could have a, kind of like a really neat little balcony here that comes out. And now all of a sudden I have this extra space that sticks out, and so it goes from the front door. You can add in boats, waterfalls. I could do pathways, remembering that as they come toward you, they get bigger. Okay, you can do rocks. I can have shrubs. Any of these extra details that you can add on the picture will be helpful. Now, final draft looks something like this. Now this one I chose as a winter theme. You can choose any season that you want. And then the idea is that after everything has been drawn and outlined, then we're going to go in and watercolor it. And for watercolor, I will be explaining watercolor a little bit later, but the idea is, as you can see, I have lots of different aspects of my picture, which would be considered as extras. Same with like even the fence would be, or the things on top of the building, benches, anything like that would be considered. Also too, you'll notice that the buildings are a little bit different, and so you want to make sure that you have all of those aspects in there.